Hello, welcome to my channel, Save Infinity. So in this video, I just want to do a quick little tarot reading for you. So, if this video has found you, then I trust that it is for you. However, with all timeless collective readings, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and use your own discernment. Okay, let's see what messages of guidance wish to come out for you today. Source, Spirit, Mother Gaia, Angels, Archangels, Ascended Masters. What messages of guidance do you have for the collective today? Got those two. Let's see what else wants to come out. What messages wish to come out? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whoop. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like that was too many of that, but those two came out. For some reason I feel like it's meant to go this way. Okay, let's do those for now, and we can always pull some more out if the need arises. All right. So we've got the Page of Swords, Knight of Cups, the High Priestess, Nine of Wands, and Nine of Pentacles. So 9 might be a significant number for you there. Okay, so with the first two cards here, the Page of Swords and Knight of Cups, I'm feeling like, this might be two sort of separate energies in your energy, or it may just be relating to one energy, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that it could be relating to two or more different sort of people or different groups of people. In the Page of Swords being like less mature than a knight, maybe a less sort of mature or healed or along their sort of journey type energy, and another energy that's a bit further along energetically in that sort of sense. And the Page of Swords kind of being more of an energy that may be kind of watching behind the scenes, or observing you somehow, kind of planning to come forward with some sort of blunt communication. With the Nine of Wands energy up here, kind of gives me just sort of more of a vibe with this Page of Swords, because it can be taken anyway, but that it might be, a little more of a cunning or manipulative type energy as well, that, this Nine of Wands is kind of strengthening and alluding to here. Especially with how I felt like, switching, having the position of these two being this way, that kind of then matches the position of these two here, on either side of the High Priestess. I'm kind of feeling like the Nine of Wands is relating to the Page of Swords a bit more, and the Nine of Pentacles relating a bit more to the Knight of Cups here, either side of that, intuitive knowing energy of the High Priestess here. And then so you may also, have that more, slightly more mature, or, just a bit more along, on their journey or what have you, than this other energy here that, may be wanting to also, bring forth some sort of communication, but from a more loving, emotional aspect here. It can signify, like a new romance or that sort of energy as well, coming from a, that more emotional sort of state and more newness here. So maybe more of a new energy too, one that hasn't quite entered your reality physically yet, or has only done so recently. Whereas, this Page of Swords energy with a more sort of watchful sort of observer type energy kind of gives the feeling of maybe this energy is more of a past energy, or an energy you've already known for a bit longer than this Knight of Cups energy here. on both sort of cards that can, represent both energies, sort of wanting to come forward with some form of communication or what have you, but just, slightly different sort of energetic undertones to them in that regard. Where one seems, a bit more blunt and forthright, but could be, maybe a little more calculative in some regards, and maybe not as mature or as, emotionally fluid as, say, the Knight of Cups energy here. Coming from more of an egoic, mind sort of based, motivations, rather than, say, more heart-based motivations. And then with the High Priestess here in the middle, I feel like that's kind of, signifying your own intuitive knowing about this situation, and also relying on your own sort of, High Priestess intuitive knowing about these sort of energies in that regard. Really trusting your inner voice here, trusting your inner guidance, and kind of, seeing beneath the surface here to kind of really tune into what could be, kind of going on more energetically behind the scenes with these two energies. They might appear similar, on the outside, or might appear in ways that don't quite actually align with the true, undertones, the true energetic undertones of the true intentions. Sometimes to really discern and ascertain the intentions of some energies, you've got to really rely more on that intuitive inner knowing and how it feels within yourself, rather than just how it appears or sounds. And then with the Nine of Wands here, I feel like, as I was saying before, I feel like it relates a bit more to this Page of Swords energy here, really calling you to stand your ground, hold that inner strength and have that protection for your energy here. To really, discern the energies and which sort of energy is right for you to come into your life. You may be receiving like 2 or more offers from people here in your life. And so, not being afraid to stand your ground, to protect yourself and your best interests and your energy. And rely on your inner knowing and intuitive guidance and discernment here to really discern between what energies are right for you and what energies don't necessarily have your best interest at heart, or don't really align for your path moving forward. And then I feel like, by really standing your ground, protecting your energy, using your intuitive guidance, then you really are going to come into a more of Nine of Pentacles energy here, where you're going to have, success and energetic self-mastery, really being able to rely on your discernment in that way that brings about, great outcomes for yourself. Sometimes these sort of different energetic encounters as well can, in a way, almost be a little bit of a spiritual test, if you will. Not that I like to, really define things that way, but almost as a way to really hone your discernment and test your discernment. And by, really standing your ground here and protecting your own energy and protecting, your own self-interest here, and having that defensive guard in that way whilst discerning certain energies, is really going to, really enhance your self-mastery here along your own sort of spiritual journey, in a way of really being able to discern between energies and trust yourself and have that self-success in that sort of energetic way, which also, aligns with having that greater self-worth and abundance, and prosperity as well, in a grounded physical nature as well, that really aligns then with that energy. Being able to trust your inner guidance here and really put, to the test the spiritual growth, you may have been on, or what have you, to really discern between certain energies, and to also, protect yourself and and to make, you know, healthy energetic choices for yourself that are aligned to you, you know, not necessarily the sort of illusions we can fall into in this sort of matrix world. And being able to, you know, trust that inner guidance and inner compass is really going to bring about that self-mastery and success here for you, that also bleeds out energetically into bringing about so many, you know, opportunities and prosperous abundance and success in a material aspect as well, because, you know, energy attracts energy in that sort of way. And so mastering these sort of challenges and obstacles, you know, really allows you to branch your energy into attracting this really, you know, wonderful sort of self-sufficient abundance type energy for yourself as well. You know, so not allowing such situations to overwhelm you or anything like that. I'm really trusting that, you know, you have grown the discernment and the knowledge to be able to, you know, make such a decision and defend your own energy and, you know, follow your own intuitive guidance in such a way that will bring about this success here for you. You know, really trusting how those sort of different energies, you know, that may approach or encounter you really do feel within you, and, you know, not being afraid to stand your ground against energies that just don't quite resonate or feel so great. And through mastering that sort of energetic ability, you know, and energetic intuitiveness and confidence within yourself is really going to propel you into this self-mastery type success here, and really lead to abundant opportunities here for you that, you know, really catapults you into a wonderful new chapter that's, you know, very, very prosperous, both energetically and materially in the physical realm. So, you know, very, very exciting, and you've got this clearly. You know, with the High Priestess card, you can rely on your intuitive knowing and know that you're capable to move through such challenges and make such decisions and discern and protect your energy, and, you know, which is signified here by the Knight of Pentacles, that you will be successful in that. So, all right, you know, a quick little brief message. So I might quickly see if there's anything further that Spirit wants to, you know, add or bring out regarding this situation, or anything else to tag along with the message. So let's see, is there any further guidance or tidbits that want to come out for this message here? Thank you, Spirit. Any further information that wishes to come out to support this message? That seems like too many. Any further guidance here that wishes to come out to support this message? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Any further guidance that wishes to come out to support this message or add on to it? Okay. Any further messages wishes to come out? Let's see, maybe one more. Oh, two more. And then I noticed as well on the bottom, it stood out to me, was the Star card. So I might move these up a bit to fit it all in. Okay, so coming out we had the Tower, the Devil, 7 of Wands, the Magician, 10 of Wands, and then the Star. Okay, so I kind of feel like with the Tower and the Devil here kind of together, I'm feeling like this is going to be, you know, maybe more of a Tower moment, maybe for a bit for you in some aspect regarding this sort of situation, but may be mostly like a tower moment for the sort of more devil egoic energy here in itself, if you will. And so when this does happen, it's, calling for, you to stand your ground, kind of repeating the message here of the Nine of Wands. Really, really holding firm and having the courage to stand your ground with this sort of energy, with it, it does flare up a bit. Sometimes having boundaries or what have you against such energies can, cause them to, have an internal tower moment or what have you, and try to like lash out or latch on, to you or your energy, as you're kind of, putting up those boundaries against it. And so, really encouraging you here, I feel, to stand your ground in that regard and hold firm. Really sticking to what feels right for you with that High Priestess energy there, maintaining your position and how you feel in regards to all of it, and not allowing these sort of, energies to, sway you from your position or from your perspective at all. Not allowing them to, persuade you into, doing something that doesn't feel aligned for you, or going against your own better judgment or intuition here. And then, with the Magician card here, I feel like that's kind of, also connected to the sort of High Priestess message of earlier of, really not only using your intuition, but also the more, magician alchemizing of energies type, gifts and abilities or knowledge that you may have within yourself, really honing them together here to stand your ground against this sort of, energetic, however it appears, combativeness or manipulation or defensiveness, however it, pops up and appears for you. But really using this, sort of self-mastery knowledge here that you have from your own sort of spiritual journey here, to not only, intuitively pick up, the certain energies and pathways to take and discerning between, but also using that, more magician alchemizing type nature to really, focus and protect your energy in standing strong in, in the pathway and decisions you make against this, sort of more egoic, devilish energy here. And also, by doing so, again, honing more into that self-mastery type energy we were referring to before. Really starting to master a lot of the knowledge that you have come to learn along your journey, and really putting it into practice with this situation, as we were mentioning before, is really going to bring you into that more magician phase as well, where you are a more of a master of that knowledge that you have obtained, and are able to, really put it into practice here to help you stand your ground and defend your position here with those Seven of Wands and Nine of Wands energies. And then with the Ten of Wands energy here, I feel like is also, calling you to use this sort of, alchemizing and knowledge of energies to really focus your energy in a way that's beneficial for you, and not taking on, too much burdens or taking on too much energy that isn't yours. Like, for instance, say if this more, devil energy, as it's being represented here, is trying to, draw you in or guilt trip you or shame you or persuade you, not taking on the energy of, those sort of characters as your own, or taking on their responsibilities or burdens as your own. Instead, protecting your own energy, focusing on your own energy, and standing strong in that regard, so that you aren't overburdening yourself with, the feelings and emotions and responsibilities of others that could be, used to kind of pull you down or overburden you or persuade you or manipulate you in ways that aren't for your, highest or greater good. Not appeasing to these sort of energies at the sacrifice of yourself, really doing what's in your best interest here and standing strong on that, and focusing your energy towards that and using your intuition to guide you towards that, and not feeling guilt or shame to do, for doing so, and not feeling, burdened by other people's, worries or concerns or their own emotional and spiritual journey. That's their responsibility and not yours to need to, jump in and take that burden for them. Particularly if it is a sort of situation that arises, like we mentioned before, like where there could be different energies approaching you. Sometimes that could involve having to reject one of the energies or putting up boundaries with, one of the energies, and, they may not take that so well and could, try to emotionally manipulate you or put some of their burdens and worries and concerns on you that is, not your responsibility to deal with on your path and your journey. You don't have to heal everyone. You don't have to take on everyone's burdens. You're allowed to protect your space, energy, and path as well. And that being able to discern and do so is part of, your self-mastery and your path here to become, stronger and more whole in those aspects, where you aren't, overgiving your energy in a way that's a detriment to yourself, and aren't, doing the work or taking on the burdens and responsibilities for other people's, energy journey and spiritual journey that they're meant to be, learning from and dealing with themselves. Especially ending with the star here, I feel like not only a great sign that, correlates to this Nine of Pentacles success here, but also, kind of highlighting that you probably are, generally more of that sort of healing, bright light type energy that, maybe in the past you have overgave too much or taken on too many like burdens and responsibilities from others in a way that was a detriment to yourself. And, sometimes putting up those sort of boundaries with those sort of energies can, lead to some backlash or what have you, but, kind of learning how to protect your own beautiful star essence and healing energy here in a way that it's not being drained by other energies, putting up those boundaries so that your beautiful, wonderful, bright life force can help others when necessary, but with discernment in a way that it's not being drained. Which is a great and vital skill to have when you do have such a beautiful, bright, healing, light energy, so that you aren't being drained and so that you can, shine, brightly and beautifully in a way that is healthy for yourself and others. And I feel like it's, also a great message here that, as part of going through this sort of self-mastery journey here and kind of overcoming this chapter and, really using your intuition and mastery of, knowledge that you've learned along your spiritual journey here, and really putting it into practice through this situation and coming out so successful here, is really going to catapult you into the next chapter of your spiritual journey and healing journey here, where you're going to, really become this star energy, where, you're not being drained by these more sort of, devil egoic type energies, if you will. And when you really have got this sort of Nine of Pentacles self-mastery here and self-success here, that's just going to shine so beautifully and wonderfully here into bold new chapters and opportunities, where you're really going to be able to use that star energy in a way to bring about so much wonderful abundance for yourself. Whether you go on to become like a healer, helping others along their journey, you know, obviously with discernment and not taking on too many burdens that, you know, may bring about a lot of abundance and success here for you. Or whether just, you know, being in such a healed, such journey or such chapter is going to really give you, you know, the energy able to flourish into whatever chapter it looks like for you, in whatever way you end up doing and progressing. But by going through this chapter and alchemizing your own inner journey in that way, and having a more self-mastery over your, you know, intuitive gifts and your self-mastery knowledge of alchemizing certain energies and holding boundaries, is also going to, you know, really fortify and curate the energy within you as well, that, you know, spreads out into your own reality to attract in new opportunities for yourself that now match this new energy that you've fortified through this experience. You know, even something as simple as having, you know, greater discernment or greater confidence can attract in new opportunities that weren't available to you before, because you didn't quite have the energetic match required for such an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily have to strictly be in a spiritual healing sense. It can be in whatever sort of sense resonates for you. But just by going through this journey and healing and having a self-mastery over your own energy within is going to attract and bring in and align you to so many wonderful and bold and beautiful opportunities here. It's going to, you know, bring about not only so much self-success and, you know, abundance and prosperity and opportunities, but really bringing you into a new chapter of so much harmony and peace, a real sort of, you know, heaven on earth type experience here, where you've kind of, you know, gone through the more denser, you know, hellish, if you will, sort of trials and tribulations, and through doing so you're not only evolving and ascending, but also, you know, mastering your own energy and knowledge and pathway in a way that you really kind of just catapult into this wonderful heaven on earth type experience for yourself, full of so much harmony and peace and abundance and prosperity and opportunities. You know, so a really, really wonderful and exciting message to come out for you is, you know, as chaotic and shadowy as it can seem in some aspects, but knowing that, you know, you truly don't have anything to worry about in that regard, as worrisome or troublesome it could seem on the surface, as you do have all this extensive, you know, not only spiritual knowledge or what have you that you have gained along on your journey, but also a really heightened intuitive awareness here that you're going to be able to rely on to stand your ground, hold your boundaries, really discern and weave your way through these, you know, these pathways and this, you know, trial and tribulations, if you will, that really do grant you the key to your success here and your happiness and peace and harmony. You know, knowing that you are going to overcome whatever comes your way, and that you're going to really excel because of it all. You know, so not seeing these sort of situations here as anything to fear, but just as an opportunity, you know, to really learn and grow and put all the learning and growing you already have done into practice to really fortify that energy within yourself. To really, you know, alchemize and transmute and ascend and evolve those energies within yourself that really catapult you into that brand new, exciting, magical, bold chapter. So being able to, you know, have appreciation for these sort of more shadowy chapters and journey here in that regard, as it's really allowing you to fortify yourself and your own journey in a way that you're able to, you know, reach so much of this wonderful and abundant success within yourself and outside of yourself. So, you know, not fearing such situations, knowing that you have the ability to overcome them, and also just kind of, you know, seeing them more as a training ground to really enhance those spiritual muscles that you have, so that you can really, you know, become like a strong spiritual powerhouse and really ascend to that next level and enjoy that sort of beautiful, wonderful heaven on earth type experience. You know, as they say, we often can't get to the light without going through those more shadowy aspects. So not fearing those aspects in that regard, and having appreciation for them in that regard, knowing that it's allowing yourself to get through to that bold and beautiful and wonderful chapter that you so deserve. All right, well, I hope if this message has resonated for you, that you've been able to take some guidance and clarity from it. You know, obviously I know the minor, more minute details of such journeys and trials and tribulations or what have you, and strengthening spiritual muscles in such a way are, you know, so unique to each person. But I hope, you know, the general sort of energetic workings and message really has, you know, been able to resonate in some way to give you that confidence and clarity and guidance to move forward along your path and journey and have the success that is destined for you. All right, sending you so much peace, love, light, and blessings as always. Bye.